Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursaleen, nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ask Huda, your show where you get to ask your questions to our team of scholars. Alhamdulillah, we are in the last couple of days of Ramadan. So alhamdulillah, inshallah, everyone's fasting and qiyam is going well, and we hope that Allah accepts it from us and from you. I'm your host, Salim Chaghtai, and I have with me Dr. Hatem Alhajj, who will be answering your questions that you put forward today. He is the Dean of the Sharia Academy of America, and also, alhamdulillah, he is a practicing physician and is a qualified doctor. So your medical questions will also be answered from that point of view as well. Please remember the numbers, which are 00202 38555 248 and 249. And you can always email us at ask@huda.tv, and we will process your questions to come to the show or be answered separately. Please remember our number one rule, which is to keep your volume down when you make a call. That way there will be no delay in answering your question, and you will not inconvenience your brothers and sisters who also want to get their questions answered as quickly as possible. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Shaykh. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Good, alhamdulillah.
Barakallahu feekum, Shaykh. We'll get straight into the pending questions that we have at the moment. Brother Muhammad from Syria, he asked, how does one purify clothes from sexual discharge?
Well, that's quite easy. In fact, there is a hadith that's reported by Bukhari and Muslim from Aisha radiallahu anha, in which she said that she used to scrape it off from the garment of the Prophet ﷺ if it was dry, or wash it if it was wet. So scrape it off if it was dry, wash it if it was wet, and in both cases you can wash it off.
So this is for male and female sexual discharge, is that correct?
You're talking about the semen or the counterpart in females.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, mashallah, barakallahu feekum. And also, mashallah, we have already Brother Luqman on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Luqman. Brother Luqman, assalamu alaikum. Okay, inshallah, no problem. Inshallah, we can please try and ring again, and hopefully we can get you back as soon as possible, inshallah. This allows us to deal with another question that Muhammad from Syria had. This is maybe a bit longer, but inshallah we can give a short reply hopefully. He's asking, when someone makes a mistake in prayer, how does one rectify it? And does it make a difference in fard or nafil prayer?
It depends on the mistake, and if this is made out of forgetfulness or made intentionally, it varies. If it is a pillar or a condition or obligatory, you see the Hanbalis have a classification that is unlike the three other madhahib, where they classify the acts of prayer into pillars, obligatory acts, and preferable acts, whereas in the other madhahib it is either pillars or preferable acts. The Hanbalis have some sort of category in the middle there that is not necessarily there in the other madhahib. Briefly, if he missed a pillar, whether intentionally or out of forgetfulness, nothing can make up for this pillar except redoing it. He has to do the pillar.
Yeah, and for example, if he forgot Al-Fatiha, he just went straight into the second surah.
Then he will have to go back and repeat this, and if he already engaged in a pillar that is after it, if he did not start the next rak'ah, or according to some scholars, did not start the same place where he is at in the next rak'ah, then he can go back to the pillar that he left out and proceed from there. But if like for instance, he missed his ruku'ah in the first rak'ah, and now he is in the ruku'ah of the second rak'ah, there is no good reason going back. You're already in ruku'ah.
Sure.
So consider the first rak'ah to be invalid, void.
Right. Sure.
And so because it's a pillar and nothing can make up for it. So the prostrations of forgetfulness will not make up for the pillar. You will need to make them. When you forget a pillar, you will still need to make them, but they do not make up for the pillar. So you do the pillar, and then you do the prostrations of forgetfulness. Now, if it is a mandatory act, and you forget it, then the 2 prostrations of forgetfulness will make up for the mandatory act, so you do not need to go back and do it.
For example, the first tashahhud, for example, if you forget that, you stand straight up, we know that you complete the prayer, but then you do the 2 prostration of forgetfulness, and then you finish the prayer.
Yes.
Barakallahu feek, Sheikh, for summarizing a complicated subject in a very short amount of time. We have Sister Sadia on the line from Oman. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Welcome to the program.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you all? Both of you. Doctor, is nice to... I'm very lucky that I have got through to your program. I have 2 questions.
Yes, please go ahead, sister. Jazakallahu khairan for your comments.
Question number 1, that once Dr. Zakir has said that if you are a lady alone, you cannot go for Hajj or Umrah unless you have your blood-related person with you. Now, I am a widow, and I'm a 55-year-old. While I was 53, I did go from Oman with a group of ladies and did my Hajj. And I'm keep on going every year alone with a group of ladies for Umrah. Am I doing the right thing or wrong? Secondly, we are all, myself, I'm a widow, and my girl, who is also not married, we are both grown-up ladies, but we don't have any men in the house. So Zakat al-Fitr, how that will be paid from our end? We can give Zakat just like that to anyone from before Eid, or how to go about it?
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, sister. Inshallah, we will answer that in due course. We have Sister Arshad on the line from Qatar. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Sorry, I'm a boy.
Oh, I see, you're a boy. Okay. We can blame our director for that.
Assalamu alaikum and Ramzan Mubarak to all of you.
Apologies, our sincere apologies. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Yes, I wanted to ask, if we win a lottery in a bank or in any supermarket, so is this considered halal or haram?
Okay.
Then my next question is, if we take a loan from an Islamic bank
Yes.
for the purpose of buying a house or undertaking Hajj, is this allowed?
Okay.
And I have one more last question.
Okay.
It says that Adam alayhi salam was the first being on earth.
Okay, so the question is so to clarify, you're asking, was Adam alayhi salam the first being on earth, not just the first human, which we know?
According to science, the dinosaurs came before man. So is this true, or Adam alayhi salam came before dinosaurs?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem, inshallah. You said 2 questions, you increased it to 3. I don't think there's riba in questions, alhamdulillah.
Right.
So alhamdulillah, we can tolerate that. That's good, no problem, inshallah. So yes, Sheikh, we'll answer the questions as they came. Sister Saadia, she asked, women travelling alone, without a mahram, with a group of ladies for the purpose of Hajj and Umrah. So it's not just a fanciful trip, it is something for the sake of Allah, but still, what does Islam say about that?
Well, it is known that this is a matter that is controversial. There's so much scholarly debate over this matter. The Shafi'is and Malikis would consider this to be permissible. The Hanafis and Hanbalis would not. And there is argument on both sides. So whatever Dr. Zakir had mentioned to you is authentic, is correct, according to the Hanafis and Hanbalis. And many of the modern scholars or the contemporary scholars do side with Hanafis and Hanbalis on this issue. There is another position by the Malikis and the Shafi'is that it would be permissible, and so people certainly would disagree over how they interpret the position of the Malikis and Shafi'is, and whether it relates to the Hajj al-Farida or the Hajj that is compulsory, or other types of travel such as Umrah that is just not mandatory. And other kinds of travel for some righteous reason or reason that is legitimate in Islam. How much you expand this is controversial. I think that what you have done is acceptable according to a sizable group of or a company of scholars, and I think that you should not be regretful whether you will do more of it in the future or not. I think if it is just if you have done it and you have done it several times, and you want to stay on the side of caution, I would not be doing it every year because of that controversy, and I would stay on the side of caution, particularly that you had already finished your Hajj of Islam, which is the compulsory one, and several Umrahs as well. With regard to your other question, if you are the caretaker of the household, I think if you're the caretaker of the household, then you are the one who will take care of the Zakat al-Fitr, so you will need to get Zakat al-Fitr out on your behalf, on behalf of those who are in your household, the children and so on that are in your household, whomever you maintain, regularly. Those are the ones that you'll pay Zakat al-Fitr on their behalf.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, for your reply. We have Brother Luqman on the line, back again from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, brother.
My question is it all right to play with dice?
Okay, is it allowed to play games involving dice? Okay, that's a good question actually, because I know there is a discussion amongst the scholars about that, which I'm sure Sheikh Dr. Hatem will inshallah elucidate about. Yes, and do you have another question?
No, that's it.
Good, okay, barakallahu feekum. Okay, no problem, inshallah. Yes, we have a sister on the line from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, sister, go ahead with your question.
If you can please, if you remember, I called earlier in the show and I asked a question about bid'ah.
About what? Zina?
Bid'ah.
Bid'ah, sorry, okay.
Yeah, about adding things to the prayer extra that is not part of the sunnah.
So your question is that any bid'ah that is done as part of prayer,
yeah,
what the impact does it have on the prayer? Is that your question?
No, okay, I'll repeat my question. Like for instance, when you make ruku' and you get up from ruku', you say,
yes.
Some people say subhanallah.
Yes. Yes, okay, yes, we've got that question down. Sister, just to let you know and all our other viewers know, is in order to be fair to all our callers, we have a system. We have a system for making sure we deal with questions as and when they come. You can see how many questions come during the show. Each show we get a lot of questions, plus the emails we get after the show. So it's not, while I appreciate that it's important that people phone and they phone again the day afterwards, just rest assured, we've got it on the list. We will process them in all rules of Islamic fairness and equity, because you must appreciate that, and I understand that some questions are more urgent than others. I discuss the questions with our mashayikh, and they also decide if something is of matter of urgent priority. So please, inshallah, be patient with us. We will answer that question in due course. Jazakallahu khairan. Yeah, we have Sister Safiya on the line from Bahrain. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa alaikum salam. I'm just calling to ask you, can you make 2 umrahs when you're going for Hajj? Are you allowed to make more than 1 umrah at the same time?
Okay, so can you make 2 umrah? So in other words, you go back to the miqat while you're there, and then you basically go and do another umrah again. Yep, that's your question.
Yes.
Okay.
Before you make the Hajj, because and I want to know, is there a difference between whether the person is alive or dead?
Okay, so does it matter whether you're doing it for yourself or whether you're doing it for somebody who's dead? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, got that. Fantastic. Okay, Jazakallah khairan for that. We'll move on to Brother Arshad's question. And just to clarify, mashallah, our director doesn't make that mistake. It was somebody else that did it, and mashallah, our director knows that Arshad's a brother's name, so I'm going to clarify that for his honor, mashallah. Barakallahu feek. So yes, he asked the question regarding lotteries and lottery competitions, whether they're issued by a supermarket or a bank. Presumably this is something that happens within certain countries. What is the ruling on these things, Sheikh? Are we allowed to take part in these competitions?
It's just lottery, like the straightforward lottery.
Yes, I believe so. I imagine it is basically, you purchase a ticket, and or again, that's a good question. Is there a difference if you purchase a ticket for this lottery, or if it's given to you just by since you're a customer of that organization? Does that make a difference?
There is a little bit of a difference here. Like if you buy a product that you get in a drawing just by virtue of buying a certain product, but you buy the product because you want to buy the product, not because
of the lottery itself.
Yes. You want to get in the drawing. In this case, it may be permissible if you win a prize that you take the prize, because there is nothing involved from your end at all. But if it is a matter of you purchasing a ticket, or you buy a product not because of the product but because of the game, because it's part of the game, then it is not permissible. Then it's just straightforward gambling, which is an enormity.
And this is a great example of intention being applied not just to ibadat, to actually transactions as well.
Absolutely.
You can't play tricks with the Sharia like that, because Allah obviously is all aware and all knowing. He also asked a question regarding loans from an Islamic bank. Now that's like asking how long is a piece of string. I mean, the question I would probably add on Brother Arshad's behalf is, what are the basic conditions we should look for in an Islamic bank in the loan being halal? Because obviously there's a lot of controversy. Some banks are dressing up certain things in Sharia terminology. But how can we as a consumer look through the basic principles of what we are or the product that we are getting involved with and know whether it's allowed or not? Again, it's probably a big question. You could, but inshallah, if you can summarize maybe 2 or 3 key things that we can look for.
The idea here is the main prohibitions in Islamic financing, and if you really study the last financial crisis, you'll find that all those 3 prohibitions were behind the crisis. The usury, which is riba, gharar, which is undue risk-taking, and the ghabn, which is iniquity. So as long as you avoid usury, undue risk-taking, and iniquity, most likely that the contract will be a permissible contract. But again, this is not an issue that can be figured out by the public. So what I would recommend for the public is to rely on the Sharia supervisory boards and to rely on the positions of the mujtahideen with regard to this particular bank or that, this particular transaction or that, because one bank could have several transactions. Some of them could be Islamically sanctioned while others not. So I think it is the Sharia Supervisory Board that people will have to look up to, and if the bank has a Sharia Supervisory Board that it is made up of people whose honesty, religiosity, as well as knowledge you trust, then you go ahead and take what they say.
Yes, because these things are very complicated, and you have to have an element of trust.
Yeah.
And only Allah is really going to ask you about whether you trusted those scholars or whether you just were dazzled by the names that were on there.
So everybody needs to make ijtihad, but for the public, their ijtihad will be mainly looking at the credibility of the scholar that has given them the fatwa from both ends.
Jazakallah khair. I think that's very good advice and very good guidance there. The question is a theological one. Was Adam alayhi salam, we know he's the first human being, but was he actually the first creation on earth? Because obviously we know the angels are there, Iblis is there, but was he the first creation on earth? What did the scholars have to say about this?
No, it is not likely that he was the first creation on earth, because Allah taught him the names, some of the scholars say, the names of all the creatures
Indeed, yes,
that are present on earth. And so there have been creations before Adam alayhi salam on earth, and the earth itself is a creation, so he came to it after it was created and it was fashioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the provisions of the earth were already placed in it, and which means that his whatever, the livestock and things of that nature, which are the provisions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supplied humanity with or put on this earth for the benefit of humanity, all of this was present.
And also there's therefore no contradiction if we find fossils from beings like dinosaurs, which were potentially way before human existence, then alhamdulillah there's no contradiction with Islam with that, is there?
Yeah, there's actually, there is no problem. Islam doesn't have a problem with some creations having become extinct, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us in the Quran, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and He creates that which you know not. Or you have no knowledge of. So things have been created that we have no knowledge of. The dinosaurs may be of them. However, to really waste too much time and effort into, particularly for our youth, to waste too much time and effort into studying about the dinosaurs and special names and shapes and this and that, I don't think it's such a beneficial knowledge, because it is based in great part on conjecture.
Sure.
Because you find some fossils, and then you make up the rest. The scientists do actually use the computer programs to sort of make up the rest of the. There is no flesh. Where did they bring the flesh from? So much of it is made up, even if part of it is true.
Yes, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. We have Sister Ayman on the line from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, Sister.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. First, I just want to say Jazakumullahu khairan for all the good work that you are doing.
Wa iyaakum. Thank you very much for that. Keep making dua for us.
I have 2 quick questions. My first question is about zakat.
Zakat, yes.
Someone gave my brother, who is living in the U.S., a sum of money to give to me as a gift. And my brother added a sum of money to this amount as a gift from himself. But this money has been kept aside as a gift for me, but I have not yet received it yet. Should I take this amount into consideration when I'm calculating zakat?
Okay, that's right. So basically, so just to clarify the question, so you obviously got your normal money, which is which you're prepared to pay zakat on.
Yes.
Your brother comes over. He has assigned some money to you, but it's not in your control or authority yet. Is that right?
Yes, he's in the U.S. I'm living in Saudi Arabia.
Right. Yes.
I have not yet received the money yet. I don't have an account at the moment.
Okay.
And my
good question. Yep.
If we are living in a non-Muslim country or a place where we cannot hear the azan, and can we still answer the azan and make the supplication that should be made between the azan and the iqamat?
So just to clarify that, sister, how would you know that the adhan is taking place?
Yes, but if we cannot hear the azan, can we still somehow get the reward for answering the call to prayer and supplicating between the azan and the iqamat? Is that possible when you haven't really heard the azan, so you haven't really answered it?
So, for example, at the time of adhan, which you estimate your mosque is going to give it at the beginning time of that prayer, you start responding to it. You basically make the repeat after the muadhin, then you add the du'as and the supplications you after that. Yep, okay, we got that question, no problem.
Okay.
Jazakallah khairan, sister.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem, you're very welcome, sister. Yes, to go to Brother Luqman's question regarding, is it allowed to play games which involve dice? What have the ulama said about this?
No, dice, the translation of which would be like a nerd, which is something that the Prophet ﷺ clearly, explicitly forbade. So playing games that involve dice would be explicitly forbidden by the Prophet ﷺ himself.
Okay, barakallahu feekum. SubhanAllah, yes, because the brother sounded quite young, and so I imagine that obviously a lot of board games made for children are actually involving dice. Barakallahu feekum, Sheikh. Sister Safiya, she asked the question regarding something which happens a lot, is while on Hajj, just before going on Hajj, it is Hajj Tamattu', so you will do on Umrah, but is it permissible to do another Umrah by going back to the miqat, taking your ihram again? And the sister asked, is there a difference if you are making it up for somebody else or not? So a bit of a double barrel question.
She also asked if that person is alive or dead.
Yes, so yes,
if you're
alive
making
or dead.
it on behalf of someone who's alive or someone who's dead.
Yes.
Well, you know, the preferable, what's preferable is that you do your Hajj and Umrah and you specify every trip. You make a separate trip for each nusuk, which is for each ritual, Hajj and Umrah. Certainly Hajj and Umrah together combined, which is called Tamattu', which is to enjoy making the two rituals in one season. That certainly is preferable according to the stronger position. But aside from combining the two together, Hajj and Umrah, one Hajj and one Umrah, to add more Umrahs to it would not be preferable, except if there is some considerable need. For instance, some people, who come from very far away and their parents have never made Umrah or something of that nature, and they make it on their behalf, or some of their relatives never made it and they make it on their behalf. Most of the scholars do actually allow this if they go out to the miqat and then they come back and perform the Umrah.
Barakallahu feekum, Sheikh. It's come to the end of the first half of the show. Please stay tuned and we'll be right back, inshallah ta'ala. Well, and this is Ask Huda. Please don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The Philosophy of Islamic Law, a program for restoring belief and trust within Muslims' mind and heart, and for re-establishing a true concept about Islamic rules for others.
We are covering the manners in Islam that a Muslim is supposed to have in Islam.
There is a strong link between having good manners and piety. And then he said, I guarantee a dwelling in the highest rank of Jannah for the one who perfects his manner. That indeed, truthfulness leads to piety, to righteousness. And righteousness and piety leads to Jannah.
The Prophet ﷺ used to always maintain family ties.
Gentleness in Islam means to treat people with kindness and with tenderness.
Back to the Prophet. Join Sheikh Ammar in the program Back to the Prophet, wherein he teaches us practical lessons from the Prophet's life and how this can help us to overcome our challenges in the present.
We talk about the life example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, seeking guidance for ourselves. In the early days after the revelation of the Holy Quran, the Muslims were greatly persecuted, so much so that quite a few Muslims had to leave Arabia and migrate to Africa to live among Ahl Kitab, Christian people who followed the gospel of Christ.
Back to the Prophet in Ramadan on Huda TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the second part of Ask Huda. We have a pending question from Sister Ridwana in Saudi Arabia. Her family owned a plot of land and they had to pay a tax of around 40,000, I'm not sure the currency, but let's say dollars. They went to an official and got this tax reduced to $32,000 and then paid that official a couple of thousand or a few thousand for doing that. What is actually the Islamic ruling on this?
Oh, I'm sorry, I will need you to repeat this again.
Yes, so the tax bill was $40,000 and that tax would have just gone to the government. I'm not sure whether it was a Muslim government or a non-Muslim government. They went to an official who works in the tax department and they basically, in effect, bribed him to reduce it to $32,000 and they paid him a certain amount, maybe $3,000 or $4,000. So overall, their expenditure is less than the 40,000. Otherwise, there would be no point in doing it. What is the ruling on this?
Alhamdulillah. Well, I think that what they may have done is partly because some people have difficulty with the concept of taxing, and they believe that taxes are not permissible, and the default ruling for taxing people is impermissibility, that is for sure, but there are certain cases where it would be permissible for the public to sort out between that which is permissible and that which is impermissible may not be an easy task. Therefore, my suggestion or my answer to this would be that it would not be allowable to do this. Particularly it involves bribery as well. And someone may try to justify this bribery because they may feel that the tax that's imposed on them is not halal. It's not legitimate for the government to take it from them. So they're trying to sort of spare themselves the harm by bribery, which is permissible. But since this issue is a complex issue and some taxing imposed by the government may be allowable by Islam under certain conditions, then what we say to them is just pay your taxes and do not take any shortcuts.
In other words, be on the safe side.
And be on the safe side. Add to this that in a non-Muslim country there is a covenant and treaty between you and the people, and part of this is that you follow their rules unless their rules would compel you to do something, not to give a part of your money, but to perform something that Allah made impermissible for you. Then that would be a different discussion, but you follow the rules in general, and that would include the payment of taxes.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. We have Brother Khurshid on the line from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, Khurshid. Brother Khurshid? Assalamu alaikum. Oh, I think he may have got cut off. I'm sure there's no relation here, but there's Brother Ridwan this time from Qatar. We had Ridwana before, we have Ridwan now from Qatar. He has 2 plots of land. One which he bought with money borrowed from a loan, which he has not paid off yet. The other plot of land has been fully paid off, so it's his, under his control. Plus he has some jewelry. What is the method of calculating zakat on this?
Okay, so the plot of land that he completely paid off, I don't know if he has this plot of land, if he intends to sell it, or if he intends to build on it, or what does he intend to do with it. If he intends to build on it, or to use it, to farm it, to build on it, to use it for any reason, then there is no zakat due on this land that is not meant to be sold. If he intends to sell it, then it would be zakatable, regardless, when the sale will be actually carried out. But that's according to the majority. According to Imam Malik, if he intends to sell it at some point in the far future, he doesn't know when, then it may not be zakatable, because someone may buy a piece of land and keep it for 20-25 years until the market goes up and the price of land appreciates. In this case, Imam Malik would ask him to give the zakat once when he actually sells it. And that may be a more stronger position, particularly nowadays, that people do actually buy property and so on and keep it for so many years, and if they pay zakat on it every year, they may not even have the money to pay the zakat, because they may not have the cash to pay the zakat on this property that they have, that they intend to maybe sell it at one point in the near future when the price appreciates.
Sure.
As for the jewelry in general is not zakatable if it is meant to be used, and that is the position of the majority. In the Hanafi madhab, it is zakatable whether or not it is used, and they do have validation for this from the Sunnah. There are several hadith, one from Aisha, one from Salama, and another hadith that's reported by Abi Huraira from a woman who had 2 little girls, and they had bracelets, thick bracelets on them, and the Prophet ﷺ did ask every time whether you ask Aisha and ask that woman, do you give zakat on this? And when they said no, he told the woman, would you like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you instead 2 bracelets of fire? And he said to Aisha that would be sufficient to cause you to enter the hellfire. In the hadith of Salama asked, is this a kanz, a hidden treasure, O Messenger of Allah, or that hoarded
yes.
Money, O Messenger of Allah? He said, if it reaches the threshold of being zakatable and you give the zakat, then it is not, which means that if you don't give the zakat, then it is a hoarded treasure. Now, if you notice in those ahadith, every time it is thick bracelets, it is thick rings, it's big and thick rings.
Yes.
So that the majority said that what is more agreeable with the principles, لَيْسَ عَلَى مُسْلِمْ فِي عَبْدِهِ أَوْ فَرَسِهِ zakah. There is no zakat due on things of use, such as, back then when they had slaves, no zakat was due on the slave or the mount,
yes.
or the beast of burden. And the Prophet mentioned here the horse in particular, but it includes all of this. So things that you have for use are not zakatable. So the majority said that what agrees more with the principles is that used jewelry is not zakatable, and the Prophet ﷺ wanted to particularly address those incidents and talk to them in this language, because there was some level of excessiveness, big rings, big bracelets, and so on. And certainly when you have that level of excessiveness, the intention may be mixed intention, like like you have this to use it, and also you want it for...
It's like investing it for, so you're buying a big bracelet or something like that, and it's like almost like... Yeah, I can see that, yes, they want to sell it in the future.
I would say that if you have mixed intentions, please go ahead and pay zakat on this jewelry. But if it is purely for adornment, for use by a woman, then it's fine.
Yeah, and which is very true, because in the Indo-Pak culture, we do view it as an investment in the future. So I think that it's probably good that they are Hanafis, but they can pay the zakat on it. So alhamdulillah, Allah's plan is very, very vast. We have Sister Madiha on the line from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa alaikum assalam. I have 3 questions.
Yes, you said 3 questions?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, sister. Fire away.
Forbidden for Muslims to visit places where Allah has previously sent His wrath, like promise Samud.
Sister, you sound a little bit muffled. Could you please get a bit closer to your phone or your headset and repeat your question?
Is it forbidden for Muslims to visit places where Allah has previously sent His wrath?
Right, okay, got that. So is it allowed for Muslims to visit places where there's been a punishment of Allah visited upon those people? Okay, that's very clear. Okay, no problem. What is your other question, please, sister?
Is it necessary for a woman while going out to cover her hand and feet?
Cover her hands and feet?
Hijab.
Okay, so covering hands and feet when she goes out in public. And your third, yes?
Hello?
Yes, and your third question, please?
According to Islam, how should a woman cover herself in front of non-mahram while living in under one roof?
Okay, how should women cover in front of non-mahrams living under one roof? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that's a very good question. Jazakallahu khairan. Before we answer that, Sister Doha, she rang again. She wants an answer to this question quite urgently. But when some people after ruku, they come up saying Rabbana wa lakal hamd wa shukran. They add these 2 words. So first of all, is there any basis in the sunnah for this? Is it allowed, therefore, to do it? And also they raise their hands as if they're making dua. So instead of going like this, which is before ruku, and then coming up after ruku like this, they will go like this after the ruku. What is the hukum on this? Is this a bid'ah?
Well, there is no basis in the sunnah. However, if the people do this out of mistake because of an unauthentic hadith or because of a fatwa that they heard, then they would not be considered as doing a bid'ah. That would be considered a mistake, not a bid'ah. But there is no basis in the authentic sunnah of either act, whether adding the shukr or raising your hands palms upward.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Just to cover some of the, because we have a little bit of time left, but regarding the sister Ayman, she asked a question from Saudi Arabia that if she's had some money which is due to be paid zakat on, just recently she received, there's been money set aside for her in her name, but she hasn't actually got it in her control. So it's not probably in a bank account, she doesn't have it in cash. What is the hukum on this? When does the zakat, obviously the zakat will start once she gets control of it, but when does the clock start ticking? When she gets control of it, it's in a bank account, or as soon as it's been designated for her?
No, when it is under her control, when it reaches her, in other words, she is capable of disposing of the money in whichever way she pleases. When she is in control of the money, she can use it, then that is when it becomes zakatable. Because one of the conditions of zakatability is tamamul mulk, which is the complete ownership. Complete ownership is not complete until you have al-hiyaza, which is complete possession of the money. So it's under your control, it is under your hand, you can use it.
Yes. Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh, and subhanAllah, the time's gone again very quickly. I'd just like to thank Jazakallah khairan and make dua for our Shaykh for his expert advice and guidance. I'd like to thank you, the viewers, who contribute to this program. And please remember that you can email the show at ask@huda.tv. You can also send any suggestions or any ideas you have for support at support@huda.tv. And don't forget to visit our website, which has been revamped, at www.huda.tv. All that ends for me is to say Jazakumullah khairan, and hopefully see you again, same time, same place tomorrow, bidhnillahi ta'ala. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
If my love is attached to thee, then from sins I will be free. Each time my heart will beat, your name will resound with heat. Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.